Hello and welcome to what is the final summary video for the LASA study. It's with really mixed emotions that I have my final opportunity to say thank you so much for all the time that you've put in over the 6 years to making this study a really amazing opportunity for all of us to learn about factors that can influence outcomes for individuals on the spectrum over time. Also, thank you if your child participated in the Selfreport study, and thank you if you consented for us to contact your child's teachers and get information from them. I can promise you that we've used data from all of those sources, and I'll show you some of the key findings over time, and I'll also show you how you can get quick summaries of the papers going forwards. So just a quick reminder of the amazing achievement of the LASA study. So I actually can't believe we managed to do this even in the middle of a world pandemic. So it's just incredible that you all took time out of last year to complete the final questionnaire, so thank you. What makes the LASA so incredible is this combination of informants over time, building that whole global picture of what it's like to be a child on the spectrum growing up in Australia over the past 6 years. It helps us to look at each of the individual informants, the home, school and child self-report, but also when we combine them, it just makes it even more powerful. You know, that whole really is more than the sum of its parts. So we've now had 24 research publications published out of the LASA already, and have been downloaded more than 2,000 times in total by individuals across the world. So that means that the data that you have contributed has changed the knowledge and learnings of more than 2,000 people around the world already. So I'm sure you must be feeling proud, because we definitely are. We know, because we can track data of where our research articles are shared, and we know that some of the research articles we produce are in the top 5% of the articles from all around the world that attract social media attention. And we know that people that tend to look at them on social media are parents and teachers rather than other academics, because we can get them through the library. So I think that to me is so valuable, because it's really important that people outside of universities are learning from your data, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that the data gets out to other families and other schools across the world. So if you're interested in keeping in touch with the research articles that come out, Robin is going to send you a link and email you a link to a website which will have all the article summaries on there, so one-page article summaries, and places that you can access the articles if you ever wish to read them at your leisure. So I just want to give you a quick few summary from some of the studies that we've done across the 6 years. I couldn't possibly go through all 24 of them. I think you'd switch off halfway, or probably even before halfway. But these are some of the sort of ones I thought you might be most interested in. So in our first year of Selfreport, we had 83 questionnaires back from children on the spectrum. And at the end of that study, that questionnaire for the children, we asked them, what do you like most about yourself? What are you absolutely best at? And what do you enjoy the most? Now you might recognise those questions, because we also ask those to parents at the end of your questionnaire too. And we actually genuinely read them, and we love reading about the strengths and the positive aspects at the end of the questionnaire. And for the children, we published what they said. The parent study is still in progress, because there's more responses to analyse from that. But I thought you might be interested in seeing some of the surprising results. So what do you like best about yourself kind of tended to fall into a sort of number of categories. Children tended to tell us that they were a good friend or a good person. So sort of, I'm friendly, I'm a good person, I have a big heart. Another group of children told us how we were good at particular things. So these I have huge knowledge in special areas, I'm good with a computer, I can do a good stitch voice. Another group of children identified being as hardworking or smart. You know, like children telling us I have a creative brain, I try hard, and my intelligence. And I really love the little quotes which were actually highlighted that children love being unique. So I'm different and a geek, and another child said how unique and weird I am. Now, only a tiny number of children, a couple of children, said they didn't like anything best about themselves. And so that's really good that most children that reported back to us were able to identify something that they really liked about themselves. The second study that families might be interested in is where we looked at in the younger cohort, so going back to time 1 when you did your first questionnaires, we looked at the difference between a child's skills in written language and reading language, so writing and reading. And what we found, interestingly, is that by age 4 to 5, children had stronger written language skills than verbal language skills on average. And actually we've identified this as somewhere we really need to do more research, because that's not what we see in neurotypical children. So children who had more autism characteristics had more challenges in spoken language and listening skills than they did in written skills. So we're wondering if the autism characteristics in someone's autism profile might have a different impact on the reading pathway and speaking pathway than it does on the writing pathway. So Marlene Westerveld and Jess Painter are leading the research at Griffith on reading and writing in individuals on the autism spectrum, and they use this study now to help them, inspire them to do more work looking at literacy in autism, both in the early years and beyond. There's been a huge number of papers published on autism and anxiety, and I thank you for helping us make such huge changes in one particular area. So we've actually published 9 papers on anxiety and autism, and these have made huge changes into the way clinicians and researchers around the world think about anxiety and autism. It really has been sort of paradigm shifting. So one of the key papers we did early on was actually highlighting that anxiety is present in individuals as young as 5 years old. And that is one of the things that's led us to having a further grant, which we've in the middle of now, which is trying to prevent anxiety in young children, because if it's happening by 5, we need to make the prevention happen earlier. We've actually shifted the thinking to help people know that anxiety tends to present more behaviourally in autism than it does physiologically. And by that we mean that a child might indicate to you that they're anxious through their behaviour and what they do, rather than telling you they've got butterflies in their tummy or a racing heart. This is, again, different from what we see in the neurotypical population, so it was really important that we were able to use your data and your comments and your feedback to us to show that to the world. We've had a series of papers highlighting that anxiety impacts the quality of life of individuals on the autism spectrum more than their autism characteristics do. That's really important because anxiety is preventable and anxiety is treatable. So if we can reduce the anxiety, we should be able to improve the quality of life for individuals on the autism spectrum. In relation to school and anxiety, we've shown that almost 80% of children on the spectrum feel impacted by anxiety at school, and most of them don't feel their anxiety is recognised at school. And because we had such a great large sample, we were able to pull apart the different parts of anxiety. And we found that actually a child's intolerance of uncertainty, really finding it difficult to not know what is going to happen or what's going to be required of them, that makes school anxiety so significant in autism. Again, that's really important because we need to make sure treatments focus on that if we're going to see an improvement at school. So that's where we're heading, so thank you so much. And also to take a step away from the anxiety work, your data is really informing new and under-researched areas. So we had Madeline Stainsby was a clinical psychology student working with us, and we took the data from LASA and looked at autistic mothers of autistic children, and we were able to show that there was some real positive outcomes potentially of being an autistic mother of an autistic child that haven't been previously reported in the research. So again, thank you for everyone for contributing to that work. So as well as those 24 research publications, and we've also got obviously the longitudinal ones in the process, we've been training the next generation of researchers. And that's really important because we've had a couple of the LASA team retire or heading for retirement. So Professor Jackie Roberts, who's led this project, will be retiring at the end of the year. So we need to be bringing people on to continue this work into the future. And we've actually had 1 PhD student and 3 Masters by Research students complete their research training with us, plus 2 psychology and 1 clinical psychology students. And we've got more in progress. We've got several PhD projects aligned with the LASA and Masters projects, etc. So there's this new generation of people coming out through the LASA, being trained through the processes, seeing how a big longitudinal research study works, what they can learn from it, and we hope that it'll inspire them to go on and do longitudinal studies into the future. So the next step. So what we're doing is now looking at how year 1, year 2, year 3 feed into each other and looking at pathways and what factors help predict which children increase in certain areas, decrease in certain areas. Could we pick things at year 1 that predict where children end up at year 6? That's the big question. Obviously that requires complex statistical support, so we are working with a statistician as we speak to help us try and work that out. The second thing we're hoping to do, we have applied for follow-up funding and we should know by the end of the year. So if we do get that, we'll be asking you if you'd like to continue doing shorter questionnaires going forward, but we will be coming back to you because we've got so much we could learn from what you've already done, but we could continue into the future to make huge gains. So thank you for 6 years of dedication. Thank you for everything you've taught us. We have learned so much from your data. The autism research community has learned so much from your data, and the world and everyone who's downloaded the research papers. Like I say, more than 2,000 people have read the findings from the study which you have contributed to. So thank you. Thank you to the Autism CRC who've helped make this study what it is. And we hope to bring you good news by the end of the year to see if we could carry on and continue to learn more from you, your children, your settings, and those that help you support your individual on the autism spectrum. Keep in touch. Thank you very much.